Samsritim Goram
Apana Samsritim Goram
Yanama Vishvashokrinam
Yanama Vishvashokrinam
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
Apana Samsritim Goram
Apana Samsritim Goram
Yanama Vishvashokrinam
Yanama Vishvashokrinam
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
Apana Samsritim Goram
Apana Samsritim Goram
Yanama Vishvashokrinam
Yanama Vishvashokrinam
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
Apana Samsritim Goram
Apana Samsritim Goram
Yanama Vivasogrinam
Yanama Vivasogrinam
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
Apana Samsritim Goram
Apana Samsritim Goram
Yanama Vivasogrinam
Yanama Vivasogrinam
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
Mataji, please.
Apana Samsritim Goram
Apana Samsritim Goram
Yanama Vivasogrinam
Yanama Vivasogrinam
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
Apana Samsritim Goram
Apana Samsritim Goram
Yanama Vivasogrinam
Yanama Vivasogrinam
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Tata Sadyo Vimuccheta
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
Yad Viveti Swayambhayam
The truer translation. Apana,
Apana
being entangled,
Being entangled
Samsritim,
Samskritim
in the hurdle of birth and death,
in the hurdle of birth and death.
Goram,
Goram,
too complicated,
too complicated.
Yat,
Yat,
what,
what?
Nama,
Nama,
the absolute name,
the absolute name.
Vipasa,
Vipasa,
unconsciously,
unconsciously.
Grinan,
Vina
chanting,
Chanti
Tataha,
Tataha
from that, Satya,
Satya
at once,
Once
Vimuccheta,
Vimuccheta
gets freedom,
Gets freedom
Yat,
Yat,
that which,
that which
Viveti,
Viveti
fears,
is
Spayam,
Svayam
personally,
personally.
Bhayam,
Bhayam
fear itself.
Fear itself.
Translation purported by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified. Purport. Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is the supreme controller of everything, and as such is feared by all others. There is no one in the creation who is not afraid of the rage of the Almighty. Great asuras like Ravan, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, and others who were very powerful living entities were all killed by the personality of Godhead. And the Almighty Vasudeva has empowered his name with the powers of his personal self. Everything directly related to him is identical with him. It is stated herein that the name of Krishna is feared even by fear personified. This indicates that the name of Krishna is none different from Krishna. Therefore, the name of Krishna is as powerful as Lord Krishna himself. There is no difference at all. Anyone therefore can take advantage of the holy names of Lord Krishna, even in the midst of the greatest dangers. The transcendental name of Krishna, even though uttered unconsciously or by force or circumstances, can help one obtain freedom from the hurdle of birth and death. Read the verse again. Apana samskritin goram yannama vipashokrinam tata satyo vimuchyata yat pibeti swayamvayam. Living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name Krishna, which is feared by fear personified. Om Ajnana Iktimandasya Chansa Sakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupadayam Tadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiyuda Padakam Shigum Vaishnavam Shah Shri Upam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sadhikam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Pajana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sakanadita Shivshakam Vitam Shah Hey Krishna Guna Sindhu Dinabandha Chatpate Gopisha Gopgaganta Radhakanta Namastate Tapta Kamsana Kaurangi Radhe Vrindavanashri Vishabhana Sudhevi Pranamama Priya Panta Kautravisha Vipasan Vivisha Padram Pavanyo Vaishnavyo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Tasatani Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So last year I've been working together with one of the Bhaktivedanta students, assisting her in writing a thesis, Bhaktivedanta thesis, and she chose to write a thesis about Srimad Bhagavatam and the Yuga Dharma, the relation between the chant controlling names and the Bhagavatam. And we worked together on it, and the result is this thesis, quite voluminous, that we are working now on publishing that in a book. But why is it so important? Srimad Bhagavatam and the Yuga Dharma. This verse, which is on the board here, that this is the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this chapter is entitled Questions by the Sages. That these sages see that Kali Yuga is coming. It's the dawn of Kali Yuga, and they know Payanal Payusa Sabya Kalabasmin Chugechana Manda Samanda Mateo Manda Bhakti Upadita. In this age, everyone has short lives. Everyone is quarrelsome in Kali Yuga, lazy, misguided, always disturbed. So they feel compassion for the people of Kali Yuga, and those who will take birth in the future. So they are feeling compassion with us. And they are asking Sutta Goswami, yes, how can these people in Kali Yuga, how can they be saved? And then, of course, here in this verse, these sages point out that the chanting of the holy name is Krishna himself. And Krishna is feared by fear personified. And that it means, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada stresses the holy name is Krishna himself, is identical. And all ports of Krishna are in the holy name. So we see then later the Bhagavatam is spoken by Sukadeva Goswami. He starts to speak in the second canto. He starts to speak in the second canto, and the first thing he does is replying to a question of Maharaj Pariksit, who is asking, what's the duty of a man about to die? And Sukadeva Goswami replies, Etan nirvityamananam ejatan akuto bayam yoganam eka nirnitam hare namanu kirtanam. So says constant chanting of the holy name, but after the ways of authorities. That's the doubtless and fearless way for success, for success for all who want first be free from material desires that, and even those who do not desire that they desire material enjoyment, they should also chant the holy name. And those who want to be satisfied, peaceful by transcendental knowledge, enter Brahman, whatever they want, they should chant the holy name. So it's the doubtless and fearless success for all. So by this Sukadeva Goswami, he states this is the process for this age. Of course, in the Bhagavatam, this is the first verse of the Bhagavatam. First verses. If we go to the last verse of the Bhagavatam, Nama Sankirtanam Snyasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamodaka Samanastaman Tanamami Harim Param. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Lord Hari, the congregational chanting of whose holy names destroys all sinful reactions, and offer obeisances unto whom relieves all material suffering. So, this chanting of the holy name is the most powerful process, and it's really the only process that works in this age. This is, of course, stated in the Brihan Naradiya Purana. You know this verse of the Brihan Naradiya Purana? You all know it, but you don't know that it comes from the Brihan Naradiya Purana. That means from Narada. Harinama, Harinama, Harinameva Kevalam. Kalanasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva, Gatiranyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. So, when we wrote this thesis, we looked at what is the holy name. What says the Bhagavatam of what is the holy name? And then understand what is the holy name, the next chapter deals with where does the holy name come from. That we discussed yesterday evening. I just state a conclusion in one sentence. The holy name comes from Golok. That's Golok era prima daan, Harinam Sankirtan. Comes from Golok and is brought to us by the Lord of Golok. The Lord of Golok is Krishna, and Krishna came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he brought us the holy name, and of course he brought it mainly to India. Then Srila Prabhupada brought it to us. So it comes from Golok, from the spiritual world. It was brought by the Lord of Golok, and if we chant the holy names, what will happen if we chant it appropriately? We go back to Golok. So that is a summary of that chapter which we discussed yesterday. But then, of course, there are more chapters. Who can chant holy name? Then what are the effects of the holy name? And how should we chant holy name? And then how long should we chant holy name? There are all different chapters. We cannot discuss them all. I start to give seminars on this because I found it so fundamental that. But I will give you now a summary of these two chapters. The first question is, what are the effects of the holy names? So the effects of the holy names, of chanting the holy names, that maybe you can tell me what are the effects. Yes?
Cleaning the mirror of the mind.
Purification of the heart. Yes. Purification of the heart. Clearing. Sheto Darpanamauchan. And is that the only effect? What happens further?
Takes away of the reactions of sinful activities.
Yes, it takes away our karma. And
We become conscious of Krishna.
we become conscious of Krishna. And what happens then? Yes?
To bring more auspiciousness.
Brings all auspiciousness, nectar of devotion, right? We develop love for Krishna.
We desire to serve Krishna.
We desire to serve Krishna. So,
And the three Krishna becomes diminished.
Kleshagni, yes, all the suffering goes away. So, I put it on the 4 headings. One point is not being mentioned, is it gives you liberation. It frees you from the cycle of birth and death and brings you back to Golok. So we will first discuss shortly these 4, that it's nice to know the effects, but do we experience the effects? Some maybe, but there may be a problem. That it's like Haridas Thakur in Harinam Chintamani. He explains that, yes, and also Lord Chaitanya says, the Lord invested all his potencies in the holy name. They are on the holy name. That so potent. But it's like if we chant with offenses. We have 3 stages in the chanting. What are these 3 stages? I mentioned the first, offensive, and the next is? Namaparat, yeah, that's the first. And, Namapasya, and that means?
That means you are chanting with some offenses, but not pure chanting.
Not pure chanting. That's called by Haridas Thakur the clearing stage. That, yes, your offenses start to go, and the clearing stage comes. It's called Namabhas. Aparat, Namabhas, and when all the impurities are removed from the heart, then
Pure goodness, I don't know the word.
Sudasattva,
Shuddhana.
Sudana, the pure name. So these are the 3 stages. And it's very important to understand this because there are many misunderstandings about that. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in Madhurya Kanambini the process in 9 stages. And the first is Shraddha, having faith. And then the next, Sadhusanga. You associate with devotees and you accept the spiritual master. And then what happens? Bhajana Kriya. Bhajana Kriya means you start to engage in devotional service because you learn by sadhu sangha, the devotees learn you how to perform devotional service. And then you try to become steady. So Bhajana Kriya has 2 divisions. Anishtita and Nishtita Bhajana Kriya. Anishtita is we are unsteady. We are not chanting always 16 rounds, not always getting up for Mangalarti. That's Visaya Sankara. You fight with the senses to control them. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives 6 symptoms of unsteadiness. And when we become steady in devotional service, that's called Nishtita Bhajana Kriya. And there is a misunderstanding. Nishtita means you are steady in devotional service. You come, and it's not easy. You come to every morning program, every evening program. You follow strictly everything. Nishtita. If you perform Nishtita Bhajana Kriya, is your heart becoming purified? You say yes, no? Yes. That the answer is not really yes. There's a condition. You must give up your apparat. If you give up the apparat, then you come to anartha nivritti, the purification of the heart. Then only. And that is called Namabhas by Haridas Thakur. If you start to chant without offenses, that you start to chant without offenses, then this Namabhas, this purification of the heart, starts to develop. Usually this period, because sometimes devotees, they come for a few years and then they leave. And they have been very steady. But they did not come to the purification of the heart. It's not a cheap thing to come to the purification of the heart. This purification of the heart usually takes 30 till 40 years a lifetime. Sometimes more than a lifetime. It's not an easy thing. And then after, but in this, if we chant with apparat, then all potencies are in the holy name, but Haridas Thakur said, yes, it's like nighttime. You don't see anything. And therefore you don't come in contact with these potencies of the chanting or the potencies, but the holy name is very potent. Even if you chant with offenses, some anahtas will go, but not much. That Srila Vishwanath Bhakti Thakur will say. Not much. That, but then to come to Namabhas, or the purification of the heart, what is the same as Anartha Nivritti. One must be steady, Nishtita, Vajnakriya, and give up the offenses. And then one comes to this stage. And this Namabhas is like the sun comes up, but you don't see the sun. You see always clouds. That, like in Belgium or United Kingdom, you see mostly clouds, not the sun. But you can see everything. It's clear that it's daylight. You can see the sun is there, but you cannot see the sun immediately. And that is the clearing stage. If we come to that stage, then we become purified. Now, to come to that stage, we must give up our offenses. And offenses are due to our rebellious attitude. So why are we in this material world? What's the root cause of our being in this material world? Someone tell me.
We want to enjoy separately from Krishna.
I want, yes, that's true. Can you say that in one word? Envy. Envy, yes. Envy of Krishna. That is, to envy of Krishna. So most of us came to this material world because we are rebellious towards Krishna. Srila Prabhupada writes, the living entity's struggle for existence within the material world is due to his rebellious nature. It's one purport of Prabhupada. Constitutionally, we are part and parcel of Krishna. And then he quotes Bhagavad Gita 15:7, Mamaivam Krishna Shiva Bhuta Sanatana. Manasasthanindriyani Pragatistani Karsati. Living entities, Krishna say, are my eternal fragmental past, but they are struggling very hard with the senses and the mind. That Prabhupada explains we are like a finger to the body. The finger is useful if it cooperates, if it helps to bring food to the mouth and then to the stomach. Then the entire body gets energy, also the finger benefits. But when the finger is cut off, then it has no function anymore. It decomposes, finished. So when we rebel against Krishna, we disconnect ourselves from him. And it becomes a struggle in losing a battle against the material, and we suffer. We have disease, death. So to overcome this struggle, we need to reconnect with Krishna and give up our rebellious nature. That therefore, of course, every morning we are chanting these 10 offenses. That we say the verse we quote in the beginning. It says, "You may chant for millions of births, but you will not obtain the love of God." That so even you will not become purified. That so there are these 10 offenses. What do we do about it? That we need a strategy to overcome these 10 offenses. And to overcome these 10 offenses, we can have 10 defenses. That, so what is the first offense against the holy name? To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life for preaching the whole glories of the holy name. So what is the defense against that? Please? Glorify the devotees, yes. That's is that all?
Humility.
Humility is always good, yes. that will help.
Serve the devotees.
Serve the devotees. So, the essence we have heard now. Serve those who serve the Lord and appreciate the good qualities. That, because this mood of service we must cultivate towards the holy name and towards the Vaishnavas. Chanting Hare Krishna is a service. And that's not what I'm telling, that's what Rupa Goswami is saying. Rupa Goswami says, Atasi Krishna nama dina bhavatkayam indriyam sevamukai jiva dos vamevas pratyata. He says these material senses, they cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, cannot appreciate his qualities, his pastimes. But when the conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness, how does he awake his Krishna consciousness? By using his tongue to chant the holy name, the Lord's holy name. And use the tongue for prasadam, taking the remnants of food. Then what happens? The tongue becomes purified. Then gradually you understand what Krishna really is, but what's it? Rupa Goswami said, render service by using the tongue to chant holy names. So it's a service. Render service. That's also confirmed, of course, by the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:2-6. Nanama rupe guna janma karma bih nirupitavye tavatasya sakshina mano vasobhyam anameya vatmano devakriyayam padyantyatapihi. O Lord, your transcendental name and form are not ascertained by those who merely speculate the path of imagination. Your name, form and attributes can be ascertained only by devotional service. That's of course Krishna stresses in Bhagavad Gita also, Bhaktya Mama Vijanti Avyasasmi Tatvata. One can understand me only by devotional service. So here, but to chant his holy names properly, attract the mercy of the Lord. And we can only attract the mercy of the Lord if we serve the devotees properly. And that's confirmed by Nectar of Devotion, chapter 12. In the Padma Purana, there's a statement there praising the service of the Vaishnavas, or devotees. In that scripture, Shiva tells Parvati, "My dear Parvati, there are different methods of worship, and out of all such methods, the worship of the Supreme Person is considered to be the highest. But even higher than the worship of the Lord is the worship of the Lord's devotees." It's also in the Adi Purana there. Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. And you see, Krishna says to Arjuna, "One who claims to be my devotee is not my real devotee. My real devotee is one who claims to be the devotee of my devotee." So that mood of a servant is naturally one of respect towards the master. We see in Harinam Chintamani that in the first part, Haridas Thakur explains about Namabhas, but then he explains how to get to Namabhas, and the rest of Harinam Chintamani is about how to overcome these 10 offenses. And the most grave offense is this sadhuninda, that offending devotees. I was reading yesterday Chaitanya Bhagavat, and there we have the pastime of Jagai and Madai. And Lord Chaitanya, he takes all the sins of Jagai and Madai, and there were so many millions and millions of sins. The accountant of Yamaraj, that the account of Yamaraj could not keep track of all these sins. They got a nervous breakdown. And Lord Chaitanya, when he took these sins, he looked first black, and Lord Nityananda said, "You look like Krishna." Black, and then it disappeared. But then Lord Chaitanya said something very interesting, that I came to deliver everyone, and I give freely love of God to everyone, but not to those who criticize my devotees. Those who criticize my devotees, I will give them these sins of Jagai and Madai, these reactions. And that's heavy. That's heavy. So think twice before you criticize. Because it is also mentioned in Nectar of Instruction, text 5. 3 classes of devotees, and the highest is the pure devotee who has lost the tendency to criticize anyone. So that is a very important source of our trouble in devotional service. Why we can't get into this anartha-nivritti of this namabhas, the purification. But purification really starts because the holy name is Krishna, is potent, but Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Nam prakasha sarvasyam sarvamaya samavita, I'm not manifest myself to everyone. That, so those with this, if you have still this apparat, this mentality, rebellious mentality, we don't get the full benefit of the chanting. That, of course, that's what to do if you commit apparat. That Harinam Chintamani said, chant the holy name constantly. That, and here it is nicely described here. That, this is a commentary of Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.23.24 by Srila Prabhupada. He speaks about this Namaparat. There is no way to atone for any of these offenses, he says. It is therefore recommended that an offender at the holy name continue to chant the holy name 24 hours a day. Constant chanting of the holy name will make one free of offenses and angelic be elevated to the transcendental platform on which he can chant the pure holy name and thus become a lover of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The situation is like a small child who, after striking his mother out of anger and being chastised by her, climbs into the lap of the same mother for shelter. Who else does he have to cry to? Eventually his mother will take pity on him and hold him tenderly until he sobs himself to sleep in her arms. In the same way, if due to our childish ignorance we offend the holy name, whoever do we have to turn to? We must simply take full shelter of the holy name, immerse ourselves in constant chanting, hoping against hope that he will be merciful to us. Because the holy name is Krishna, and Krishna is most forgiving and loving. He will take pity on us and purify us of the ignorance which causes to commit the offenses. Of course, Lord Chaitanya gives us the mood that we need to give them up. Trinata Vishnisna, Taura Vishaisna, Amana Amanadana, Kirtanya Sudari, Nadanam Nacham Natsunam, Kapta Vashi Shikami, Jamya Jamishvari, Bhakta Bhakti, Ahaitu Kitvai. I think you know all the meaning of that. Be humble, tolerant, don't want any honor, ready to give honor to others. Don't want wealth, followers, no opposite sex, attraction to the opposite sex. That just, Lord Chaitanya said, I want your causeless mercy birth after birth. That, so what are our obstacles to attain this? King Kunti explains, Janmashva Sutashvir Edamana Buddham Pramam Nagratatate van Tvamakinshana Gochara. It gives 4 intoxications which hampers us, which blocks us to chant with feeling the feeling of devotion. That's an aristocratic birth, opulence, beauty, and a good education. But factually, material opulence are nothing to be proud of. For even the richest, most famous man, even the smartest, even the most beautiful person, even the coolest, most popular person, for them there are also so many problems. the main problem of life is disease, old age, burden, and yes, how to chant, what's the mood for chanting to attract the mercy of the Lord. That Srila Prabhupada explains, chant like a child crying for the mother. Srila Prabhupada writes about this. These three words, namely Hare, Krishna and Ram, are the transcendental seeds of the Maha Mantra. The chanting is a spiritual call for the Lord and His energy to give protection to the conditioned souls. The chanting is exactly like a genuine cry of a child for its mother's presence. Mother Hara helps the devotee to achieve the Lord's Father's grace, and the Lord reveals Himself to the devotee who chants the mantra sincerely. So this chanting, crying out a child to the mother. What are the characteristics? The child is helpless. First thing, we should come to the point of understanding our helpless situation. That it has a focus. Only the mother. Even sometimes the father cannot help. The child only wants the mother. And the third, there's another aspect is, of course, that's love. The child loves the mother. And there's aspect of longing, wanting that. So these are four aspects. And so Srila Prabhupada uses this analogy in many lectures and also in the Bhagavatam in purport. And these four aspects come out. First, helplessness. This mood of the child calling for a mother has different nuances. One is the feeling of helplessness. A small child cannot survive with the mother's care. When children have good parents, they don't need to think about their own maintenance or protection. If they are hungry or thirsty, they go to their mother. If they are tired, they climb on the mother's lap and go to sleep. If they are frightened or distressed, they run to the mother for shelter, and the mother is very happy to provide whatever is needed. Similarly, if we chant with a mood of dependence of Krishna, Krishna, your material energy is too strong. I cannot overcome my material attachment and illusions on my own. I'm hopelessly caught up in bodily identification and its ramifications. I need your help. Krishna is very happy to accept our invitation and come to our rescue. This is from the Songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays, alone I do not find the strength to carry on the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. Please bless me, give me just one drop of faith with which to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Then there is the focus that if we simply chant the holy name, we should totally and exclusively focus on Krishna. And that's really a challenge. Just let all other relationships in this world fall away and connect with that one person who is always there for us, who accompanies us for lifetimes. Krishna will be there for us always. Next life, it doesn't matter. He's always He's our best friend and our eternal well-wisher. All other relationships will come and go, but this relationship with Krishna is eternal. It's the only thing we can really claim ownership to in the world. Yeah. Of course, in the spiritual world, Chandravali, she says, yeah, Krishna, I'm yours. The right wing gopis. But the left wings, it's Radharani. And Radharani said, no, Krishna is mine. So that possessiveness is good. That's good possessiveness, transcendental. Krishna is also ours. We have an eternal relationship. And then there is love. That even more than a mother loves her child, Krishna loves us. He never wants to come to this material world, but respecting our choice. He unwillingly sanctioned it. Still he wants to come back even more than we do. For every step we take towards him, he takes 10 steps towards us. Then the last point, I will finish with that. In that our knowledge of the child crying for the mother, there is longing, extreme longing. So the child is not just speaking to the mother, it's calling out loudly, desperately, crying. There is no tomorrow for the mother's comforting presence. No. Our chanting should be with that intense longing for Krishna's association. Rupa Goswami says in Nectar of Devotion that the only qualification required to go back to Godhead is laulya, greed, intense greed, to attain it. So we need to be eager to attain Krishna. So yeah. Anyway, this is just little excerpts of this big chapter on how to chant holy name. We covered 5%, but I try to give some points which I found to be very important. Giving up the first offense, and also the mood of chanting. And that will help us to come to that Namavas, and attain the purification of the heart. So any questions, comments, please? Yes, please.
Not really a question, maybe a remark. Criticism is not just verbal, it's also here, mental. Correct?
Yes, but of course, when it's mental, then many times it may come out verbally. That in Kali Yuga, mental offenses are not considered.
Oh, really? Okay.
But it will block your advancement in the chanting. That it's not considered, in that sense you don't get reactions until it comes out. But it's not favorable for the chanting. Yes?
I was thinking,
Okay, so what about somebody who's kind of has mental problems, and you do something and they consider it an offense, but it was not, it was no bad intention, and
That's a good point.
they refuse communication to clear the misunderstanding. So like what to do?
Yeah, I remember the Vaishnava etiquette course of my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Maharaj. And he said, I will come to it, but it's indirectly. He says, yes, that if you want to correct someone, first you must be in a position to correct him. you must be in a position to correct someone else. And then one must question, what is my motive to correct this person? So what is the motive to correct this person? Why am I doing that? It's very important. Because that's the third condition. If your heart is full of envy, don't correct anyone. So if there is no envy and there is no intention to criticize someone, there is no offense. And that's I learned from the Vaishnava etiquette course.
I don't think you should do it publicly either.
No, certainly not. There is much more to say because this is a little thing out of this course, but then you have methods of correction. That's a whole different chapter. Thank you. Yes?
So you said we need eagerness, and we need also to be in this mood of crying for the Holy Man, maybe for your mother. But often you are like in the mood of everything. I'm okay in my situation, even I'm fallen, I'm okay. You cannot just make it this mood. You cannot create it. So,
Yeah.
So that's our situation most of the time. We are okay with our situation.
Yeah, that's true. And that's ignorance, and therefore we have to learn hear the Bhagavatam every day. And if we don't hear the Bhagavatam, then you cannot come to that point. Because these are the last chapters which explains that the Bhagavatam is offering us a culture which is supporting this lifestyle which we must adopt, and that will help us to overcome these offenses. So yes, it's ignorance. I remember always, my Guru Maharaj Bhakti Charamaj said, we are on the boat and crossing the ocean of material suffering, the boat of ISKCON. We are on it. But you stay only on the boat if you do 4 things. Chanting your rounds, then follow the regulative principles, do service, and hear the Bhagavatam. And when you see those who are in a comfortable position, not so inclined, look, are they doing these 4 things? Probably not. And there it lies. Thank you. Very nice point. Last point, maybe.
I was always thinking about Chandravali because we're always speaking of Srimati Radharani, but do we have further knowledge about Chandravali? Because how could she be happy? How could Chandravali could be happy?
Yeah, that is very esoteric. It's not a subject for one to speak about that who has not really attained Anartha-Nivritti like me. So, but maybe you can ask this question to someone who has entered these higher stages. It's too high for me. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.